boarding ship, I took a look inside. I found a note that someone wrote that said, take her for a ride. I set a course for sights unseen, went out to open sea. To my surprise, a bunch of sailors joined along with me. Now we're sailing on the mystery ship. All you gotta do is join our trip. There isn't any cost of membership. All the sailors here are really hip. I'm the captain of the mystery ship, and I'm a-calling all aboard our trip. I'm really hoping that you'll enjoy it up on the mystery ship. So bring a friend and come along with us aboard the mystery ship.
Hang on a second, my friend. Man, we're having a little bit of funkiness going on here at the mystery ship tonight. Hang on just a second. Something is really whacked out, and I got to figure out what it is. What is it? Bear with me now. Bear with me. Brother Zoe is having some problems. Something funny going on around here. Bear with me, people. This is a technical... It's the mystery ship. It's no big surprise. Nothing you haven't been through before. Thank you for being here, all of my friends. I appreciate seeing your smiling faces. Boy, let's do that. Wow. There is something really quirky going on here. Okay, let's try that then. I'm going to bring this over here. Wow, the whole world is going berserk. I may have to do a restart. On my show. Give me just a second here. Okay, so that appears to be working. That's on. I'm live at Foxhole. Let me see what's going on right here. So that appears to be working. Turn that down. Seriously, people, I don't know. Wow, I lost my. Okay, there's my son of a gun. Bear with me, peeps. I'm coming. I promise. I'm coming. Oh, man, there it is. Wow. Holy, I've never had to work so hard for a freaking show in my life. Okay. All right. Mrs. Spud says, can't stay but for a second, but hi. I'm so glad to see you, Mrs. Spud. Hope you're doing wonderfully. Always a pleasure to see your smiling face, even if it's only for just a second. What is going on with my... Why don't I have any volume in my headphones? Something is amuck. Something's amuck. How's the sound out there? Can you guys tell me? Is the sound decent or thumbs up? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, for crying out loud, man, there's something really. I enjoy a good gremlin now and then, but this is too much. All right, got to give me a second. I got to dial in a couple of things. I've got to bring YouTube back because I lost them. I got to bring Rumble back because I lost them. Okay, there's Rumble. There's my content. Boom, up and running. Yes. All right, great. YouTube, Zoso, view my channel. There's the live. It appears we're live. Okay, we're live. We're live. Leo Slayer. Man, it has been a minute, buddy. How the heck are you doing? Good to see you, brother. Hope everything is good in your world, man. I love running into old friends. That is freaking good to see you, my man. Hope everything is groovy for you. All right, we are live. We are live at YouTube. We are live at Pilled Foxhole. Thank you, Chuck, saying it's 5 by 5. We are live at Rumble. Rumble is cooking. We are cooking over there. That is beautiful. And we are definitely live here at the in Lemon Land. It's a beautiful thing. Hey, what is the date? What is the date? This is the 16th. Okay. All right. So it looks like maybe next week. Next week might be the countdown. I mean, the platform challenge. Let me look at a calendar. Calendar. July 2025. Okay. No, not at all. It's going to be the following. We have 2 weeks. 2 more weeks. So those lovely people over at the Foxhole they're hanging on. They're hanging onto their crown for all it's worth. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them. They wear it well. Those foxholers wear it well, I'm telling you. We are live, baby. According to Girl Patriot, great to see you. Crazy Chuck with a K. How's everything in your world, my man? Hope things are groovy. That's a beautiful thing to see my friends hanging out over there and tapped out for a while. Good here. Everything is good for you, man. Great to see you, Leo. Great to see you. Over here in Lemon Land. Spudley. If I could bump the volume a bit, that would be great. You have me on max volume. Okay. Yeah, I'm not suggesting in the least that there isn't something wrong. So did that do anything for you? Let me know if that increased my volume, Spudley, would you? Because I have alternative means, but that should have done it. If not, I can always do this. Oh, that seems to be making it louder. Can anyone confirm if my mic volume is at an acceptable volume? Very straight. A wee bit still low. Okay. That ought to do it. That ought to definitely make a difference right there. I have like 3 different audio settings, and there's one that I have to be careful with it because it's rambunctious. All right. Well, here we are once again. Cosmac Grandpa. He says that was the one. That was the one. That's the one I've been looking for, Cos. I've been looking for that one all day. How are you doing out there, my friends? It is your brother Zoe here on another sweltering Wednesday night here in the garage. It is, as we speak, it is still 94 degrees outside. It got up to 99 here in my neighborhood today, and tomorrow we're supposed to hit 101. It's going to be warm for the next few. They did say that maybe by next Monday, it could actually drop down to somewhere around a palatable 93. I would take that. Spud says it's hot as heck here. Man, yeah, this West Coast, we are getting a belly full of the heat right now. Just a belly full. Michelle Ann, how are you doing? She says, 5 by 5. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here. We appreciate having you. Man, folks, tonight I got a very different kind of show for you tonight. As you know, my mystery ship is called the Mystery Ship because you never know what the hell I'm going to talk about. And tonight is falling right in line with that. I hemmed and hawed about this. I finally had to pick something and run with it, and I'm glad that I have friends in the right places because a friend of mine sent me a tip about something to do a show on, and this one hit me like a ton of bricks. It really did. And I'm so very glad to have friends who say, dude, why don't you consider this? And holy guacamole. I'll tell you what, this one rocked my world. It rocked my world. It's going to be an interesting show. First, some housekeeping. Some housekeeping. Just letting you all know, it is the third week of July. In approximately 6 weeks, in 6 weeks, I will be shoving off on my annual cross-country ride every summer. I jump on my Harley, and I ride across the U.S. of A. And I stop at interesting places, bring you places like, I don't know, Yellowstone Park. Last year we saw Old Faithful erupt right as I pulled up. I've taken you to, Mount Rushmore and Niagara Falls and, all the Devil's Tower, all that kind of stuff. I like to take you guys places that maybe you just haven't had a chance to go to. There's so many things on my hit list, but I'm going to be shoving off the last week of August and riding, I'm hoping, the first 3 weeks into September. I'm going to be I live in Oregon. I'm going to be taking a northern route across the top of the country and then going down the eastern seaboard. And then, honestly, after that, it's up for grabs. I might zig. I might zag. I do want to get into the deep south. I got to get into Texas. There's so much of Texas so many stones I haven't turned over there in Texas. So that is big on the list. Big on the list. Anyway, I hope to, while I'm out there, visit with as many of you as humanly possible. Any of you who have been watching the Quite Frankly program, of which I am quite fond, you probably know that Frank is having a little soiree. It's, in fact, the very first Quite Frankly jamboree. He's been doing that show now for 15 years on air. And this is the first time that he's actually throwing a party and saying, you want to show up? Here's where to buy tickets. And he invited me, and I'm going. So I'm very excited about that. That is September 5th and 6th. So at least you'll know I'll be in New York by September 5th and 6th. As for the other things I want to touch base on, each and every Sunday night, your brother Zoe tries to free your mind. I try to get you away from the insanity. Now, I like to keep my finger on the pulse. I am not an ostrich who buries my head in the sand. No. I like to keep my finger on the pulse. I like to know what's going on in the world. I do follow the news. And, I try to stay abreast of all things that are going on. Not to the point of insanity, because it can take over your life. It really can. It's one thing to stay informed. It's another thing to lose your life because all you care about are current events. And I don't believe in that. I believe that we were put on this beautiful earth that God created to live a life. To live a life. And that life is not sitting in front of a computer screen. I'm sorry. That's not the life that God intended for any of us to live. That's why I get on my motorcycle and I ride for 4 weeks. That's why try to get out and see people and to go places and bring you places. And there's just so much to do out there. So much to do out there. Why would you want to spend it in front of a freaking computer? Or glued to your phone. So I will be posting my route. As it gets a little closer, I'll be posting the route that I'm going to follow. And believe me, if you are within 100 miles one way or another of the route that I post, please reach out to me, because I would love to pull over and meet you and maybe give you a Zoso Dude coffee mug or something. I will find something to give you. Perhaps a tie-dyed shirt. Maybe it'll be a Zoso Dude hat. I don't know. But I am going to be bringing goodies with me to give away. And I'm looking forward to getting out there and meeting you. Plus, also, I got to throw this out there. If you have the wherewithal to perhaps put a lonely rider up for a night somewhere and save him a little hotel money, I'm a cheap date. If you have a back patio where I can lay out my sleeping bag and look up at the stars, I'm good with that. Maybe a hammock. It's summer. Just something to consider. What else? Oh, so on Sunday nights, on Sunday nights specifically, one of the things that I do to try to take us away, remember the old Calgon commercial? Calgon was this women's bath beads that they would put in the bath, and it would soak their skin and make them all soft and silky and lovable and sexy. Calgon, take me away. Does anybody remember? Anybody old enough to remember those commercials? Well, that's what I do on Sunday night. I try to take you away. I have a Sunday night show called Zoso's Sunday Night Escape. And I try to pick out films that maybe they're off the radar, or ones you have great films that you haven't seen in 30 years. Or perhaps it is a film that for one reason or another you have never seen. Now, I'm very excited about the upcoming flicks I have. I recently wanted to air the movie Cocoon. Remember the movie Cocoon? It was about these old people that find a swimming pool, and it's got these strange rocks in the bottom of it, and when they dive into the pool that has these weird rocks in it, they are somehow rejuvenated. They feel young and full of piss and vinegar. Well, believe it or not, this will blow your mind. Try to find that movie. Try to find the movie Cocoon from 1985. You can't rent it. You can't stream it. You can't find it. You can get Cocoon 2. They did a reprise to the movie 3 years later in 1988. But the original one, no, she's off limits. In fact, no streaming service offers it. I, however, just won it on eBay over the weekend. So I don't know if it's going to make it here to my house. It's only coming from Lake Oswego, which is like 2 hours north of me. You'd think that if the eBay guy would just drop it in the mail, I'll have it in time for this Sunday night. But I can't make any promises. They say give yourself 3 to 8 days after you win on eBay. So it might make it, it might not. But I can tell you it's coming. Yes, I bought the disc, which means I'll be playing it directly from my player, which also means I won't have to do that stupid thing with the camera so it looks like we're in a movie theater. No, this is going to be direct to the screen. And that movie deserves to be. So I don't know if it's going to be this Sunday or the following Sunday, but I can tell you that Cocoon is one of the movies coming up on Zoso's Great Escape. So look for it here on the Mystery Ship. I am very excited to be playing that one. It's a great flick. And man, I honestly can tell you, I haven't seen that film I haven't seen that film since it came out. I saw it in the movie theaters when it came out in 1985. I've never seen it since. So, let's see. 85, 20, that's 40 years. It's a 40-year-old flick, and it's a good one. So, you have that to look forward to on the Mystery Ship. All right, tonight's topic is going to be an eye-opener for you. It's going to be an eye-opener for you. It's going to be an eye-opener for me. I can promise you that. We'll find out exactly what tonight's topic is in just a little bit. But first, I have to play a little video for you because I want you to enjoy this little video right here. Are you ready? All right. So when we come back, the show is officially going to start. This is your intermission. This is your intermission. You're going to have like 2.5 minutes to go fix yourself a nice cool drink. I don't know if you're out in a sweaty garage with an air conditioner pointed right at you like I am, but if it's 94 out there, it's got to be 100 inside this garage. I can feel perspiration pouring out of every pore. You've got 2.5 minutes to go make a drink, take the dog outside, go visit the restroom, whatever you want to do. But when we come back, I have I got a show that's going to really kind of open your eyes. Okay? All right. I'll see you in 2.5 minutes. You're aboard the Mystery Ship with your brother Zoe. I thank you for being here.
Why do we sail upon the Mystery Ship? 'Cause we never know where we'll go next.
This is the time I like to thank all the wonderful people.
And so, my friends,
the wonderful people who support this program. in so many ways that you do. You wonderful people with the gold pills and the lemons, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. The people who surprise me with little stipends and my Cash App and my PayPal, you are wonderful. When I leave in 4 weeks to go on my cross-country trip, I'm going to become a beggar. I don't normally ask people for money ever during the year. That's the one time of the year where Zoso becomes a beggar. I might even put it on the screen. Donate here! Donate here! But I'm not doing that tonight. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm no Joel Osteen. I know that. Anyway, I thank you all for being here. I love you all. One of the greatest ways that you can help this show, and this doesn't cost a penny. It doesn't cost a penny. It's just to tell somebody about it. Say, there's this crazy biker guy. You never know what he's going to talk about. Some shows are winners. Some shows are losers. But, when he knocks it out of the park, man, it's a great show to hang at. And you ought to go check him out. And I appreciate the people who share this show out on their Facebooks and their Gabs and their Truth Socials. And I know you must be doing it because I'm looking at the head counts and my numbers are going up. My numbers are going up each and every week, and I can't explain it. It's not me. It's not me. I mean, probably once a month, I'll give my website. Hey, dude, I hear you got a podcast. Give me the address. So, in a small way, I'm helping, but you guys are the ones that deserve all the credit, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This can be a difficult topic for some people. It's not for me. It used to be. It used to be. I've shared with you guys that there was a time that I wasn't really an upstanding citizen. I will admit that although I was raised in a conservative Christian household by an Italian father and a British mother, the mother who may as well be a nun, for God's sakes. They sent me to private Christian schools for the brunt of my life. So I grew up with that kind of background, but when I became a dope-smoking hippie, started doing all kinds of crazy bad things, let's just say I kind of put God on the back shelf. More than on the back shelf. I didn't even know where he was. He was in a box somewhere in the corner of my garage, and I didn't take him out and dust him off for a long, long, long time. And, like anybody else, you go through different periods of your life. It reminds me of that, that little poem or whatever the heck it is, an adage you see hanging on the wall of people's houses called Footprints. And it's a little prose about two sets of footprints going down the beach, and it's a guy talking to the Lord, and he's saying, "But Lord, there were points where there's only one set of footprints. Where were you? You weren't part of my life at that point." To which the Lord replied, "Oh no. That's when I was carrying you." Well, it's suffice to say, the Lord did a lot of carrying with me over the years. Many is the time there was only one set of footprints in my walk with the Lord as we were going down the beaches. I'm ashamed to say. I will say that my walk with the Lord has kind of gone like this. We've been like this over the years together, and I guess it should be more like this. Here was his walk, and then this was me. That's probably more accurate, a more accurate portrayal of my walk with the Lord. Somewhere around, I believe I was 48 or 49, I got a wake-up call. I got a wake-up call from the Lord, and I knew at that point he was not fooling. And I realized wholeheartedly that I'd better change my ways, or I wasn't going to like the final chapter of the book that I was in the process of writing. And I'm not a perfect Christian by any stretch of the imagination. I try each and every day to improve my walk with the Lord. I try most days to at least crack open a page or two of the Bible and do some reading. I do get on my knees each and every morning when I get out of the bed and thank Him for the day that I'm about to have, and ask Him to surround me with angels and keep the evil ones from me, and that if in just some small way I can be a light to someone who may not have too much light around them, allow me to be that lamp. I can tell you that a great many times I probably fall short of the mark, but I'm trying. I'm constantly trying, and it's not easy. It's not easy to walk a Christian walk, and I think that we're called, honestly, those who profess to be Christians, we're called to be Christ-like. I mean, he laid out an example for us to follow. Not that any of us are able to emulate him, but he gave us a roadmap. All you have to do is stay on the page. And it's funny how sometimes, as much as I want to, I just fall short of that mark, or feel that I fall short of that mark. I've learned not to beat myself up over it, because I know that tomorrow is another day. But are we running out of tomorrows? A man, an older guy, who I didn't agree with a lot of what he said, but he certainly made his mark on me and made me open my eyes. And we talked about all kinds of things. We did a lot of driving together on the way to work and working out of town. He enlightened me quite a bit. You know, the big thing that everybody wants to try to decipher is, when are the end times? You can read Revelations, and how you get your end date is up to you. But one thing that he said that did stick with me, he said, all these people, all these pastors, all these televangelists, they're all trying to predict when the end of the world will be. Are we post-trib? Are we pre-trib? Are we this? He goes, it's this simple. Are you ready? Are you ready? If you were hit by a bus tomorrow, stepping off of a curb in a crosswalk, what do you think would happen when you got upstairs? And it was kind of a hard thing to argue with. I had to kind of agree with him. Am I ready? Are any of us ready? One of the biggest things, and you laugh if you will, God uses all kinds of ways to wake us up, to change us from the inside out. We're never going to change the outside. I've been trying to lose 25 pounds for as long as I can remember. I can't change it. I can't change my outside. But there are so many different vehicles out there that God uses to make us see the light. And I have to tell you, laugh if you will. I invite you to get a belly laugh out of this one. I was watching a string of NDEs on YouTube, and I had been on like a 3-day binge, of near-death experiences on YouTube, and there were some really interesting ones, really interesting ones, and people swore. These people swear up and down that they died, they went to heaven, they met the Lord, and in most of the cases they came back a changed person. Some of them dramatically changed. Right here on this very program, we had a wonderful friend of ours, just a woman that I can't tell you how much I appreciate her, and I'm trying to get her back. I really am. Our own sister, Leah Worth, came on this program. Now, Leah is someone who went to the other side and spent an extended amount of time in heaven walking with the Lord. And he showed her all kinds of things. He showed her the little house that they're building for her up in heaven. And he showed her animals up there that we don't have down here on earth. There's animals in heaven. Did you know that? She shared the most amazing story, and it's been like 4 years, so I got to get her back on. Her story will level you. It is so magnificent. I love it. It just goes to show you, near-death experiences, I think, happen for a reason. I was watching one particular NDE, and I am not kidding you. This guy, in his testimony, it may as well have been a page out of my life's story. The things that this guy shared, that he did in his life, the things he enjoyed, the things that he overdid, the mistakes he made, everything he shared, I could have said it was me. It was that close to the bone. And this particular guy shared what it was like to go to that place down there. And I'll tell you what, his testimony scared the ever-living crap out of me. It was that real to me. His story was so close to my own, and when he shared what it was like to go, let's just call it the forbidden zone, I knew right then and there. I didn't want any of it. I got on my knees and I prayed and I cried and I confessed and I begged God to change me from within. And I'm telling you, I have not been the same man since I saw that guy's testimony. It had a profound effect on me. I knew right then and there that the time for me to stop screwing around was then. And I'm far from perfect. I am far, far from a perfect Christian. But I know that there was a reason why I saw that particular, of all the little stories I could have clicked on, I clicked on this guy's story, and man, it rocked my world. It rocked my world. It's been quite some time since that day. I guess 12 years, 13 years, 14 years maybe. Time just marches on. And I've gone back and I've rewatched that very video. It took me a while to find it again. I had a hard time finding it. And when I found it, boy, that bell rang true once again for me. But recently, a friend of mine sent me a unique story. Nowadays, with the advent of AI, you know, there's so much more is possible. People, there are. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but AI is out there for the taking. There are classes out there that people are hawking, particularly on TikTok and on. I haven't seen ads on Rumble for it, but I've seen it on TikTok and I've seen it on, what is the other one? That's the other one. Instagram. Courses, where they say, are you a master of AI? Are you afraid of AI? What do you know about AI? Put AI to work for you. And you can sign up for these courses, and they will take a complete computer idiot like myself and teach me how to use AI to my advantage. And I've done a little bit of digging, and I'll tell you what, I mean, I have some really mundane tasks with my job. I mean, one of the things that I dread each and every week, there's a couple of things I dread doing. I mean, I love what I do, otherwise I wouldn't do it. But each and every week, I have to put together a look-ahead schedule saying all the things we did in this week's work and what we project we'll be doing next week and the week after and the week after that. And it's boring. Man, it's freaking boring. But according to this teacher on this channel, if I was to sign up for AI and learn a little bit about it, I could have AI do my schedule for me. I would just say, okay, are you ready? Crank me out a 5-week schedule, starting on this date, finishing on that date, and it'll do all the work for me. I haven't quite signed up for the class yet, but yeah, it's something I'm considering, Like anything else in this world with technology, especially with it advancing as quickly as it is, I mean, I think it's, we either need to, I hate to use crude expressions, so I shouldn't. I won't on this episode. I'm really considering signing up for it and learning what I can learn. I am so computer illiterate. It's embarrassing. I mean, there's times when I can't even, it's so frustrating for me. I'll download a file and then I can't find it on my computer because I don't know where to look. I didn't grow up with computers. I don't know anything about what makes them tick. There's lessons out there to be learned, and you learn something each and every day. You know what I learned today? This is crazy. This will blow your mind. Do you know what I learned today? And I learned this just a half an hour ago. Do you know pufferfish? You've seen them. Those deep sea creatures that looks like just a regular fish. Some of them have spikes on them. And when they are feeling endangered, they can fill themselves up with air so that they look big and scary looking with all these spikes sticking out. And believe it or not, a pufferfish has some kind of poisons in the end of those little pokey things that they have coming out of them. And to other fish and to other mammals and such, it's not good to get poked by these things. It will leave a sting. It will, some of them, I mean, it's a poison, but not to every species. Do you know that dolphins, the secret sauce or whatever it is that is secreted out of those pointy little pokey things on a pufferfish, to a dolphin, it gets them high. I'm not kidding you. This is what I learned today. The serum or whatever that is coming out of a puffer fish that might irritate your skin or my skin or the skin of another fish, to a dolphin, it makes them high to the point where dolphins will pass puffer fish back and forth amongst each other like passing a joint. Dolphins pass puffer fish around like you and I would pass a joint around. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know. You're getting the spinning wheel badly? Really? Gary Flessner, what is going on? He's not at home. He's in a rehab. All his stuff is in a storeroom. Well, it's good to see you, Gary Flessner. It is good to see you. Well, yes, a mammal drug. Well, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that puffer fish made dolphins high, but I learned that today. All right. I've got to start this video right now. Because it's like 40 minutes long. And folks, this is an NDE. This is an NDE as told by an Israeli soldier. And for whatever reason, he chose to have, I don't know if he's just ashamed of his voice or he thought that by using AI, it could tell the story more cleanly and clearly. But for whatever reason, he chose to use AI, probably because he's a smarter computer guy than I am. But I'm going to share this with you. And seriously, what he has to share, folks, what he has to share is very moving. And whether you've heard it all before, I really hope that in some way, you will find this man's story enlightening. I hope that in some way it makes you go, wow. It really struck me that way. Every now and then I need a little refresher. And you know what? This guy's story was a bit of a refresher for me. And I'm very thankful to the sailor who passed this along to me. Thank all of you for the things that you share with me. There's so many times that people say, Zoe, you know what would be a great topic? Why don't you look at this? People send me links to stuff all the time, and I really appreciate that. I really do. All right. We're going to enjoy this. It's about a 40-minute little tape. It's a man telling his story of an NDE with a little help from AI. And I hope you get something out of this. I really do. Pay attention. Don't just tune it out. I think you'll really enjoy this if you give it the chance. All right. I will see you immediately after. I'll be talking with you in the chat as this goes along. Pretty interesting little near-death experience, if I do say so myself. All right, let's run with it. Here we go, people. Wrong screen, Zoe. Wrong screen. There we go. There it is. Okay. Here we go.
There will still be time, but are you really sure that time is still on our side? In this testimony, what is revealed will shake every conviction about Israel, the rapture, the church, and the world as we know it. But above all, it receives a message that can no longer be silenced. The last sign has already appeared, and the world is still asleep. If you think...
I want to interject something here. I want to interject something before this gets going. I've never really been a fan of people who try to put a time frame on something, okay? Like a date. Like when the Mayans said, what was it, 2012 was going to be the end of the world, or whenever that was, or remember Y2K? People tried to say it was going to be mayhem, that all the world's computers were going to crap out, and what happened? Nothing happened. So this man does use some dates in here. I feel that the dates are not to be taken literally. I think that the dates are intended to be taken with a grain of salt. Nonetheless, my friends, tomorrow is around the corner. All right. Zoe, shut up and get out of this man's way. I'm going to start it over again. Here we go.
Many believe that when the signs appear, there will still be time. But are you really sure that time is still on our side? In this testimony, what is revealed will shake every conviction about Israel, the rapture, the church, and the world as we know it. But above all, it receives a message that can no longer be silenced. The last sign has already appeared, and the world is still asleep. If you think you know what is about to happen, prepare to discover how much has been hidden from you. Before we begin, write Amen in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notification bell. Every day we share testimonies, prophetic revelations, and messages to help you stay awake while the world falls asleep. My name is Elia Ben Avraham. I am 40 years old, and to my family, I am a computer engineer working for the Israeli Ministry of Security, specializing in surveillance systems management and cybersecurity. That is what my mother, my brother, even my rabbi believe. And for a long time, it was true. But 2 years ago, after yet another night spent on my knees praying in solitude, I realized I could no longer stay behind a screen while others fought with body and soul. I had above-average physical abilities, endurance, precision, but above all, I had faith, a ruthlessly clear, unwavering faith. So I chose to go to the front lines. Since then, I have been part of the clandestine operational units of Sayeret Matkal, the ones that don't appear in the news, the ones that exist only in the deepest corridors of Central Command. In July 2025, tension was at unprecedented levels. The war that had been simmering for years was erupting on multiple fronts. The alert in Israel was at its maximum, especially in the north and east. We received the order on the evening of the 26th, a lightning mission, codename Ashana Lila, which in Hebrew means smoke of deception.
That's June 26th,
Objective,
this past June.
Neutralize an underground power line in Kermanshah province, Iran, that powered a secret complex containing undeclared nuclear devices. Intelligence had known for weeks, but that day something had changed. We had to operate in two, only two, because access was impenetrable and escape practically impossible. They wanted two tight-knit men, capable of moving as one body. That's why they called me and Jason. Jason was not just a companion, he was my mirror. An American convert to Judaism, he joined the special forces like me, with whom I had shared dozens of operations. A single word was enough for us to understand each other. No one laughed at his jokes but me, and no one understood mine but him. He had no family either. We had chosen the same thing, to dedicate every beat, every breath, to defending our land and serving God. We left on June 28th at dawn. We had studied every detail for weeks. The guards' shifts, the blind spots of the cameras, the weak points of the perimeter. But that evening, as soon as we crossed the operational border, everything seemed wrong. It was as if the enemy was waiting for us. We felt the air vibrating, too silent. Too many roadblocks, too many electronic eyes on, too many anomalous signals. We were supposed to be in a blind zone, but instead it seemed full of invisible eyes. We moved through the shadows like ghosts, wearing thermal dissipation suits. Our hands were sweaty, even with gloves. Our hearts were calm, but our guts screamed. Jason looked at me and we both understood. Something was off. Then came the sound no operative ever wants to hear, that thin acidic hum that cuts through the air like a blade. A CUSF-2K drone, one of those loaded with grenades that chase heat. We heard it above our heads, then turn. Time for a whispered curse, and the light changed. A flash, a roar, a tremor in the earth. A grenade had exploded a few meters from Jason. My left ear lost its balance of sound. I screamed his name. I screamed it 3 times without even hearing my own voice. He tried to get up, but blood stained the sand like wine poured on the altar. My legs ran towards him, but another deflagration hit me like a heavenly punch. I flew, or maybe I crumpled. I don't know. I only know that I saw Jason's face for a moment. His eyes were still open. Then, black. Total, majestic, disturbing. There was no more time, no sound, no weight. Only a distant echo of sirens, the sensation of falling into a warm, deep void, as if God himself was pulling me down, or up. And it was there, in the unreal silence of that suspension, that I realized I was dying. There was no falling, no flying. I don't remember going through a tunnel or seeing my body from outside, like in those stories you hear in documentaries. There was only an unreal suspension, as if the entire universe had held its breath for a single instant. And I was there, in the middle of that vibrant nothingness, conscious of having no more weight, yet existing in every sense. It was as if time itself had lost meaning. There were no seconds, no hours, only an eternal present. I knew I was somewhere else, and I knew, with a certainty that went beyond logic, that it was not a dream. It couldn't be. Dreams have blurry edges. They dissolve. Here, everything was precise, defined, more real than reality itself. Initially, it was the light that struck me. Not just any light, but a luminous presence. It didn't dazzle. It didn't hurt. It was alive. It breathed. It had an essence. It was as if that light had known me forever, had counted my every step, listened to my every prayer, even those I had never uttered with my lips. I don't know how long I remained there, suspended, enveloped by that weightless reality. But I know that, at some point, the light moved, and within the light a figure emerged. It stood. Still. It did not advance, yet it grew closer. It did not speak, yet I already heard its words. I did not need to ask who it was. I knew. Every fiber of my spirit trembled before that presence. It was Jesus, not the Jesus of Byzantine icons or the statues I had seen in Jerusalem during my rare walks in the Christian Quarter. Not a symbol, not a name, but a real person. Extraordinarily alive, absolutely present. His eyes were fire and water together. When they looked at me, I felt naked to the soul, but I felt no shame, only a kind of surrender, a sweet surrender, necessary. He called me by name, but it was not a physical voice. It was an inner vibration, as if every cell had heard Alia spoken simultaneously. And then he added, "I have brought you here because time is short. You are my witness. I will reveal to you what is hidden so that you may tell those who still have ears to hear. But first, look." The light began to dissolve into images, not dreamlike visions, but concrete scenes, as if projected onto a larger reality. A map of the world took shape, and at its center were cities I knew well: New York, Jerusalem, Tehran, Lyon, Chicago, Toronto, Berlin, and above each, signs. Some flashed like alarms. Others were obscured by black clouds. In New York, I saw a building on fire, not from an attack, but from something worse, a spiritual collapse. The image changed, and I saw a plane fall in the skies of Arizona months earlier, an event the media had dismissed as a technical malfunction, but which was now shown to me as a sign silenced by the world. I saw Hollywood 2023, not just fire on the hills, but a fire of the soul, with lost souls in the worship of images. And then I saw a cross, first shining above a church in Germany, then disappearing, literally dissolved. Faith in Europe was like ash, suffocated by slumber and the fear of judgment. I turned to Jesus, unable to speak. It was as if I had 1,000 questions inside, but none came out. He anticipated me calmly, as if he knew my thoughts before they even formed. These are the signs. Some have already been given, others will come, but the world ignores them, and not just the world. Many who say they know me are asleep. Then I saw faces, so many of them. Some illuminated from within, others empty, extinguished. Some held a Bible, others wore religious symbols, but their eyes were like glass. Jesus pointed to some of them and said, "Many speak of me, but they do not know me. Many say, 'Lord, Lord,' but their hearts are far away. And when the hour comes, they will not endure." And that's when I heard it. A clock. A ticking in the distance, rhythmic, inexorable. I didn't see it yet, but I felt it was marking something definitive. Time was running out, and no one truly saw it. I, a Jew, who as a boy had never even wanted to hear the name of Jesus, was now there, before him. And he was about to show me the invisible. I felt small, fragile, but incredibly awake. As if, until that moment, I had lived in a religion made of rituals and codes. And now, finally, I was knowing the truth that has a face, and that was just the beginning. There was a strange silence, as if even the light around me had paused. It didn't disappear, but seemed suspended, listening. Then Jesus stretched out his arm and pointed to something forming before my eyes. It was like observing the earth from an invisible window. I saw continents, seas, deserts, bustling cities, but everything seemed silent, as if the world's audio had been turned down, leaving only the images and the heartbeat. Suddenly, the visions drew closer. I began to see churches. Some were large, modern, full of lights, screens, elegant chairs. Others were small, simple, immersed in dimness and worn wood. I saw people entering, singing, raising their hands, speaking of God. Their mouths proclaimed words I had heard in other languages. Hallelujah, Maranatha, Amen, glory to God. But it wasn't the sound of the words that struck me. It was what wasn't behind those words. Jesus didn't speak. He observed with me, and I began to perceive a truth that had previously been completely hidden from me. Many of those who proclaimed his name didn't know him at all. They weren't atheists. They weren't anti-Christians. They were faithful Christians, pastors, preachers, men and women who spoke of him every day. But their eyes were empty. They didn't have the light I had seen in that poor woman kneeling in the small room in the previous chapter. They had gestures, language, belonging. But something was missing, something essential. And that emptiness screamed. I was shown a man dressed in expensive clothes, on an elegant stage, preaching to hundreds of people. His words were perfect, his voice well modulated, his hands moved gracefully. The audience applauded him like an artist. But his eyes seemed like two closed windows. No presence, no eternal weight. Jesus then whispered, "This man knows how to speak of me, but he has never listened to my voice. He built a ministry, but he did not build an altar." Then I saw another face, a woman who was present in church every Sunday, always in the front row. She sang loudly, raised her hands higher than anyone else. But in the vision, I saw her gossiping about a church sister, lying to appear better, despising a young mother in her heart because she didn't raise her children well. Jesus looked at me. She prays, but she has never repented. She seeks appearance, not transformation. And that's when I understood. The gravest error was not in having sinned. It was in thinking oneself righteous without being so. It was in the dangerous conviction that it was enough to belong to a religion, a community, or even just to believe to be saved. Jesus didn't accuse. He didn't shout. His words were quiet, but every syllable entered me like truth etched with fire. Many of my people have fallen into a sophisticated deception. They live to be seen. They behave well in front of others, but they do not let me into their hearts. They pray to feel good about themselves, but they do not seek me. They want my name, but they do not want my character, and this is leading them to ruin. At that point, I saw a pastor I knew by reputation. I had seen him on YouTube years ago. Thousands followed him. But in the vision, his face was distorted by a dull pain. He was sitting alone in a hotel room, crying. He had lost everything, and Jesus said, "He is one of the few who understood. When he lost success, he began to truly know me. Now his heart is starting to beat for me again." I felt a knot tighten in my throat. I, who had judged Christians for years. I, who as a Jew had looked at them with suspicion. I, who thought they have Jesus, but they live as if they had never known him. And now I was seeing with my own eyes that my impression was truer than I wanted to admit. But the hardest part was yet to come. Jesus looked at me with infinite tenderness. "You came to judge, but now you have come to understand. Elia, know this. I do not reject those who err, but whoever refuses to change, whoever settles into their religious presumption, separates themselves from me with their own hands." It was then that I began to tremble. I had always thought that Christianity was weakness, but now I understood that true Christianity was extremely rare. It was pure fire, living truth. The rest was theater. It was a facade. It was lifeless religion. And Jesus concluded with words that pierced my heart. "Many who bear my name will not be found in my kingdom, because they never let me change their hearts." The silence that followed was heavier than any grenade, and something inside me broke, truly for the first time. When Jesus lowered his gaze, I understood that he was about to show me something terrible. The tone changed, not in his voice, which was always gentle, but in his presence. There was a new gravity, as if we were about to cross a boundary that was both sacred and terrifying. We didn't walk, we didn't move, yet everything around us changed. The atmosphere grew denser, more opaque. The air I had breathed until that moment, luminous, sweet, full of peace, became heavy as lead, almost thick with suppressed weeping. The landscape faded. It was as if we were in a deeper dimension, but not in a physical sense. It was spiritual, but also absolutely real. I saw an opening like a crack in reality itself. Not a gate of fire, not an apocalyptic chasm, but a thin, unsettling passage that seemed made of living darkness. And Jesus said, "There are things you must see, not out of fear, but because the truth must be told, even when it burns." We entered. There were no flames like those in movies. There were no screaming demons, nor chains. But there was something much worse, a despair I had never imagined, like an eternal echo of regrets, of unspoken words, of lost opportunities, of lives slightly but forever derailed. The pain I felt was not physical. It was existential. It was the void of separation from God, and no words can fully express it. Then I saw them. They were men and women. They didn't look different from those I had seen in the churches of the previous vision. Many wore religious garments. Others had necklaces with crosses. Some even clutched a Bible to their chests as if clinging to a last hope. But there was no light in their eyes, only awareness. They didn't scream, they didn't blaspheme, they wept, but in silence. Not from physical pain, but from inner collapse. They had discovered too late that their religion had not saved them. I saw a man kneeling, repeating the words, "But I preached in your name, I healed, I fasted for years." But his voice faded into the void. No one answered. Jesus looked at him, and a tear rolled down his face. He was convinced he knew me. But he never wanted to let me into his heart. He had words, but he had no communion. A woman moved towards us, if one can say so. Her face had been beautiful, but now it was disfigured by shame. She wasn't destroyed, she wasn't monstrous. She was just aware, and this awareness was breaking her from within. Jesus whispered, "She judged everyone, always." She spoke of purity, but she had never let me purify her. She spoke of forgiveness, but she didn't even forgive herself. She had made faith a mask, and now that mask is all she has left. Then I saw something that made me shiver. A line of men dressed in black, some with clerical collars, others with ostentatious rings, cloaks decorated with gold. Their eyes were empty. Their hands trembled. Some still clutched a breviary. Others repeated psalms, but they did so mechanically as if every word wounded them. And Jesus said, "They loved power more than me. They protected the system more than my gospel. They served an institution, but they forgot my face." I felt myself collapsing inside. Not to judge, not to condemn, but for the truth. That truth I had never wanted to see. Hell was not just for those who openly blasphemed God. It was also, and perhaps especially, for those who had made God's name a cover, a strategy, an apparent refuge, but without ever truly surrendering to His love. Then I asked, trembling, "Lord, is there hope for them?" Jesus lowered His gaze. Not now. The choice was on earth. Grace sought them 1,000 times. But spiritual pride is the hardest sin to recognize, and the most devastating. Then He turned to me and added firmly, "You will speak, and many will hate you, because no one wants to be told that believing is not enough. But whoever listens with a sincere heart will be saved." It was at that moment that I saw a clock suspended in the void. It had no normal hands, but the date was clear. December 31st, 2025. And the red hand, the one marking the final hour, was one step from midnight. Jesus said nothing, but in my spirit I understood. Time is about to run out, and the world is not ready, and yet someone can still wake up. Someone can still return. And from that moment, every second I had left would have one purpose: to bear witness to all of this until my last breath. I don't know how long we remained silent after leaving that place that burned without fire. Hell was not just an abyss, it was a diagnosis, a brutal and clear revelation of the human heart, as it is, without veils, without excuses, without liturgies to cover it. And when Jesus' gaze returned to me, I knew we had not yet reached the climax of the vision. There was more, something that would mark me forever. "Now I will show you what divides those who are mine from those who only claim to be." These words were not spoken with anger, but with a solemnity that made the spirit tremble. Then everything around us changed again. We found ourselves in a kind of space that had no walls, but seemed surrounded by veils of living light. And there, before me, something appeared that I had never seen or imagined. A large book open in the sky, but the pages were not made of paper, they were lives. Every line, every word, every image imprinted on those pages was a day, a thought, a decision. And Jesus told me, Look, every heart has a signature, every soul has a mark. The first mark was a transformed heart. I saw it as a pulsating light inside some ordinary men and women. They had no titles, no power, but something eternal shone in them. In an elderly woman bent by illness, I saw unwavering love. She had lost everything, but every day she praised God with the few words she had left. In a young homeless man, I saw a silent prayer rising to heaven like pure incense. Jesus said, "Whoever truly loves me has been changed. They are not perfect, but they are mine. Their life proves it." The second mark was the love for truth. Not a generic truth, but the one that burns lies within us. I saw a man who, despite losing his career, had confessed the truth before an unjust court. I saw a woman who had left a religious sect to follow Christ at the cost of losing her family. These, Jesus said, do not compromise, because they know me as truth, not as an opinion. The third sign was a hunger for holiness. I saw people waking up at dawn to pray, not out of obligation, but out of love. Others who refused secret temptations, not because someone was watching them, but because they didn't want to hurt God's heart. They don't live to appear righteous. They live to be close to me. The fourth sign was the fruits of the Spirit. Not mystical experiences, not strong emotions, but concrete life. Patience where there was stress. Kindness where there was anger. Forgiveness where there had been betrayal. Each fruit was a spiritual gem, shining in the darkness of the world. Those who belong to me, Jesus said, resemble me. The fifth sign was the invisible seal of God. I saw it as a subtle fire on the forehead, visible only in the spirit. Those who had it seemed to walk through the chaos of the world with a supernatural peace. The enemy cannot touch them unless I allow it. They are marked, as in the time of Moses, before the plague. The sixth sign was the break with the world. I saw believers who had left the broad path of success, trends, and dominant culture to follow Christ. They were often mocked, alone, but filled with a joy that did not come from this earth. Whoever follows me carries the cross. It is not always visible, but it is real. The seventh sign was the strongest. It was compassion for the lost. I saw men and women weeping for the salvation of souls they didn't even know. Missionaries in forgotten villages. Young people praying at night for their school. Parents on their knees for rebellious children. Whoever loves as I love shows that they are born again. In the end, I saw two columns rising into the sky. On one was written, "Sealed." On the other, only "Religious." The former had these signs. The latter had only words, habits, and a lifeless name. And Jesus told me, in 2025, this separation will be visible. The sifting is already in motion, and those who do not have these signs will not resist. Then I turned, and I saw the world. America under tension, Canada in spiritual crisis, Europe with empty churches and squares full of disorder. I saw the plane crash months before, whose truth never came out. I saw the Hollywood fire, where an occult symbol burned in the flames. And I understood. All these events were part of the map. A map of God, a prophetic line pointing to a deadline. December 31st, 2025. A clock appeared again, but this time each tick seemed like a beat from heaven. Jesus just said, "Whoever has ears, let them hear. Whoever has a heart, let them choose. Whoever has time, do not waste it." And I, a son of Israel, a Jewish soldier, a logical and trained man, fell to my knees, because I finally understood that faith was not a code to decipher, it was a fire to embrace, or to reject. I cannot describe the way reality began to dissolve before my eyes. It was as if space-time itself obeyed a greater will and dragged me into a sequence of scenes that no longer had a future or a past, but only naked, overwhelming, absolute truth. I no longer had the body of a soldier, nor the blood of training in my veins. I was spirit, consciousness, witness, as if I had been chosen to observe and then shout what I had seen to anyone who still had the courage to listen. Jesus took me by the hand. The look he gave me was different from the one he had when we spoke of the signs or of hell. It was the look of a king who knows he must execute a judgment. He only told me, "It is about to begin, and few are ready." And that's when I saw the clock. It wasn't like the one that appeared before. This one was suspended over the world. It floated above the continents. Each number glowed like hot metal, the remaining months of the year from 7 to 12. But they weren't just numbers. Each digit contained an event, a choice, a possibility. July pulsed red. I saw Israel, my country, surrounded not only by physical enemies but by a network of compromises and corrupt treaties that were isolating it. The faces of men in suits and ties laughed before digital maps, unaware of the fire they were preparing. August trembled as if it carried an explosion. I saw an American metropolis. I cannot say which one, but the sky above it darkened for 3 days, not due to weather, but due to spiritual interference. They called it cyber blackout, but in reality it was a paralysis of the soul. People ran to supermarkets, but the real panic was in their hearts. They had no peace, no answers, and they cried out. No one listened. September was the month of crumbling symbols. I saw a large statue collapse. It looked like one of those ancient figures found in front of courthouses. Then I saw a sudden fire in Europe. Paris? London? I don't know. But what was burning was spiritual, empty cathedrals, crucifixes removed, altars used for ceremonies that had nothing to do with God. October. October was silent, but in the silence I heard trumpets. Not those of men, the trumpets of the apocalypse. No one heard them on earth, but the spirits did, and the children. I saw children crying for no reason, waking up at night with prophetic dreams, while their parents ignored them and took them to psychologists. But heaven was speaking. November, the month of sifting. I saw crowds on their knees and crowds in revolt. Some ran towards a sudden light that appeared in the skies. Others shouted that it was just a natural phenomenon. It was the warning. A glow like a second sun, a sound that entered the chest. And there, everyone saw their inner state. Some fell to the ground in tears, others cursed. And Jesus told me, "Whoever humbles themselves will be saved. Whoever justifies themselves will fall." And finally, December, the 12th beat, the number of separation, the last deadline before the rapture. Jesus showed me 2 paths. One populated by people running, with eyes full of anticipation and gazes turned to the sky, and the other crowded with men laughing, feasting, mocking each other, living as if nothing were happening. Then a trumpet sounded in the sky. Not symbolically, I heard it, real, vibrating. And in an instant, a part of humanity disappeared. I saw empty houses, clothes on the floor, open Bibles with bookmarks stuck on the page of salvation. Parents gone, children taken away, faithful pastors lifted into the air like light, and Jesus said, "Whoever is mine, I will come for them. Whoever is mine will not experience the wrath, but whoever is only religious will remain." The earth plunged into a scream. The great despair began. Televisions broadcast ridiculous explanations. Cosmic ray, quantum teleportation, military experiment. But in their hearts, everyone knew, even the most skeptical, it was too obvious. Then Jesus looked at me, and in his eyes was a weight that seemed eternal. Time does not wait. 2025 is the year of the sifting. Not all will survive in the body, but whoever belongs to me will never die. When I reopened my eyes, I was trembling, truly trembling, because now I knew that what was coming was not a theory, but a reality that was already knocking at the world's door, and those who hadn't heard it were already half asleep. I wanted to wake up, I confess. After seeing the rapture, the months marked like time bombs, the heavenly trumpets, the division between those who are ready and those who are blind. My heart was already tried, almost exhausted. Yet it wasn't over. Jesus, with a look I will never forget as long as I breathe, told me, "Now you will see what many deny, but what millions are experiencing at this very moment." There was no gradual transition. It was like falling, as if the air shattered beneath my feet and I was sucked in by an invisible force, dense as molten lead, but spiritual. The heat increased with every meter of descent, but it was not a natural heat. It was not like the desert I know. This burned the soul, the emotions, the memory, every invisible fiber of my essence. The darkness was not blackness, it was awareness of absolute evil. I did not see with my eyes, but with my spirit, and there were sounds, thousands of voices, broken screams, pleas mixed with blasphemies, and a desperate rage that no longer sought redemption, but only vengeance, rejection, distorted pride. And it was there, in the deepest region, that Jesus whispered to me, "Many are here, and they claimed to be mine." The phrase pierced me like a spear. I was not prepared. I had always believed that hell was for the worst. Murderers, dictators, pedophiles, but not for Christians. Yet what I saw contradicted every idea I had formed. I saw a woman kneeling, dressed as if she had just come out of an evangelical service. Her hands raised, but empty. She was crying, but not tears of repentance, of anger. She screamed, "I served, I was in ministry, I prayed, I fasted." But her words bounced into the void, and an invisible voice answered her, "Yes, but you did it to be seen, and you never loved me. You used my name, but you never knew my heart." Another was a preacher, his hands still trembling, his mouth repeating verses from memory as if he hoped they would work as magic formulas, but every word fell to the ground like lead. I saw him scream, "I led souls to you, I preached on television, I filled arenas." But Jesus beside me watched in silence, and after a long time he said, "He preached of me, but he never walked with me. He fed on my word, but he never digested it." I saw young people singing in a choir. I saw mothers criticizing other Christians while believing themselves holy. I saw men doing charity to feel righteous, but in their hearts they judged and despised. I saw myself, not in hell, but in memory. I saw when I had thought that God was for the weak, when I had said, "Everyone is saved, just don't do evil." That superficiality, that emotional distance from eternal things, was a condemnation disguised as common sense. And it was there that I understood. Hell is real, but even more real is the deception. The illusion that it is enough to be good, religious, not too bad. No one ends up there by mistake. You end up there because you refuse grace. You laugh at the truth. You play with time. But the most painful part was when I saw a mother screaming for her son. She was saved, but her son was lost, and she cried, "Why didn't you tell me the truth, Mom? You made me think it was all love and zero judgment. Now I'm here." I will never forget the agony in that gaze. Jesus took my hand again. His eyes were full of compassion and pain, as if every soul there was a living wound in his chest. He looked at me and said, "My love is infinite, but it does not force, it does not violate, it does not impose. I have left a way, I have given my life. But spiritual pride has blinded many, and it will blind others if no one wakes them up." Then his gaze became even more serious. "You have seen, now shout, tell, warn. Time is short, many claim to be mine, but I do not know them. And so, as the echo of the screams continued to vibrate within me, I understood that this testimony is not an option. It is an order, a mandate, a calling, because hell exists, and no one should ever again say, "I didn't know." I cannot say if it was a beat, a jolt, a wave. I only know that, suddenly, the void gave way to a sound, a single, subtle sound. My name, Ariel. Nothing else, but spoken with an intensity I had never heard, not even in my mother's cry as a child, nor in my commander's calls in the field. It was a call that pierced every resistance, a voice that brought back to life, but not just the body. It brought back to truth. My chest rose. Suddenly, as if an invisible force sucked me out of the water after minutes of holding my breath. I coughed. I opened my eyes, but it wasn't like waking from a dream. It was like being resuscitated after a spiritual arrest that lasted 40 years. Beside me, lying on the ground, was the body of my companion, Jason. A flap of his vest was still on fire. Blood trickled from the side of his neck, but he was breathing. He was breathing. I got on all fours and shook him hard, with tears streaming from both my eyes. I shouted his name 1, 2, 10 times, and he, slowly, opened his eyes. He stared at me and whispered, "I saw it too." 2 soldiers who had arrived to recover us looked at us. One of them, Lieutenant Cohen, stared at us as if we had risen from a coffin. They had monitored our position but had lost the signal. For 3 minutes, my heartbeat had disappeared. 3 minutes, according to the world. An eternity on the other side. In the following days, during my recovery, I said nothing. Not because I didn't want to, but because I couldn't find words. Every human word seemed small, inadequate, fragile. But within me, the fire grew. A fire that no grenade, no silence, no military command could extinguish. I had seen the end. I had seen the truth. And not with my eyes, but with my spirit. And now that I was back, I could no longer pretend. The first to know was an American Christian chaplain, stationed at an Allied base. I approached him, trembling, with a Bible in my hand that I had never opened before. I asked him only one thing. Explain to me who Jesus really is. Not the one of religion, but the one I saw. He began to cry before I did. He read some verses. We talked for a long time, and in the end, that Jesus, who had shown me the future, hell, and the heart of God, was no longer just a name. He was my Savior. He was my King. I gave up my secret mission, written resignation, signature, tears in my commander's eyes. "Why, Ariel?" he asked me. I replied, "Because now I'm fighting another war, a war for souls, and I have sworn allegiance to another general. I live differently now. I sleep less. I pray more. I read the Bible every morning, and every day since June 28, 2025, is a day stolen from death. I no longer speak of the future as I did before, because the future isn't an option, it's a judgment. And 2025 isn't just a number on a calendar, it's an open window in time, a cry in the sky. Sand running through the last hourglass before the prophecies are fulfilled. I feel in my heart the need to warn anyone reading or hearing this testimony. Prepare yourselves. Not in the religious sense, but in the eternal sense. I'm not talking about joining a church or changing a few habits. I'm talking about true conversion. Total, painful, saving. Because those who still live lukewarm will be the first to be shaken, and those who believe there's still time will be surprised like in the days of Noah. I saw the clock. It was almost midnight. The number 2025 was not a symbol. It was a scream. Every month, every decision, every choice is part of a spiritual examination. The trumpets are already sounding for those who have ears to hear. Hell is not a fable. The rapture is not a theological option, and the return of Jesus is no longer something yet to come. It has already begun, within the heart of those who wake up. Now or never. That's why I speak, that's why I shout, that's why I don't care if they think I'm crazy, a visionary, a fanatic, better crazy for Christ than lucid in hell, better persecuted on earth than ignored in heaven. Friend, if you've made it this far, I implore you, don't wait for the perfect sign. Don't wait for everything to collapse. Don't wait for pain to force you to bend your knees. Bend them now. Voluntarily, there's only one way. His name is Jesus Christ. Not the Jesus they told you about, but the Jesus who reigns now, alive, glorious, with eyes of fire and a voice of thunder. The Jesus I saw. The Jesus who brought me back. And if you feel a fire in your heart as you read these words, it's not emotion. It's a calling. It's time. It's the Spirit of God telling you, wake up, my child, before it's too late. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for staying with us until the end of this testimony. If you're still listening, it means something has deeply touched your heart.
All right. That is that's the end of this guy's. So I think, TL kind of nailed it. It can be difficult to listen to an AI version of one of these. For whatever reason, this guy chose to have his story told by a computer rather than his own voice. There actually is an episode where he does speak in his own voice, but I think what he was trying to do is fit as much information into a small segment of time as humanly possible and to get the most out of it, he wanted to remove the human element out of it. Who am I? I'm just my wild guess. Just my wild guess. I have seen enough NDEs in my life, people's stories, and some of them are just dramatic. This one guy was he was hell on earth, man. This guy was he was a pilot, and he ended up crashing his plane, and his plane caught on fire, and he was burned on like 80%, 90% of his body. And this man is now on fire for the Lord, and he is scarred up and hideous to look at, but he loves his life, absolutely loves his life, and is on fire for the Lord. If in any small way this man's testimony left a mark on you, then good. For me personally, I need that little bit of a reminder every now and then. Although I profess to be a Christian, sometimes I don't act like one. And it's not because I don't want to. It's just that I get so caught up in the cares of this world that I kind of step back from my walk with God and get just hung up on my own stupidity. One of the greatest lessons that I've ever learned is that, when you're out amongst the people of the world, strangers, they're all your brothers and sisters. And how you treat them really is a reflection of your walk with the Lord. I have a ways to go. But subtle reminders like this one certainly, it's like giving me a reset. It's like taking the Etch-a-Sketch of my life and I shake it upside down and I can start twisting the knobs again. There's just a little bit of a grounding that goes on when I watch stories like these. It reminds me that it just reminds me that I can do better. I can do better than the walk I'm currently walking. I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I do appreciate it. I hope you found that interesting. It was just something that touched me when I listened to it. Hey, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for hanging out with me. It means a lot. I look forward to seeing you again. I will be back Friday night with another mystery ship, and I assure you, both you and I have no idea what that mystery ship is going to be about, but it will be a journey. That much I can assure you. Thanks so much, my friends, for spending some time with me this evening, and thank you to the people who donated to this show this evening. I appreciate you. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. We will see you around the bend, my friends. Around the bend. Be good and have a great rest of your week. We'll see you Friday for sure. Friday for sure.